Zindagi Azadi. Women, life, freedom. The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2023 to Narges Mohammadi for her fight against the oppression of women in Iran and her fight to promote human rights and freedom for all. Last year's wave of protests became known to the political prisoners held inside the notorious Evin prison in Tehran. Once again, Ms.
This is a person who is imprisoned. What will be the situation in December when she is actually given the prize?
Well, if the Iranian authorities make the right decision, they will release her so she can be present to receive this honor, which is what we primarily hope for. How we will carry out the arrangements, we have a couple of months to plan that.
Stolt Alsnes from TV2 Norway. The three last year's laureates are receiving treatment from their respective governments following receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. How would you comment on the situation for the last year's winners?
I'm sorry, how is my comment on?
The last year's laureates, some of them in prison, they're still harassed by their governments. How do you comment on that situation?
Well, it just shows, first of all, that democracy is on decline. There are plenty of authoritarian regimes around the world that suppresses opposition. And all these prizes, they illustrate that being a freedom fighter, being in opposition, comes at a very high cost. And of course, Mohammadi and Bialyatsky, they have this in common, that they have been fighting for basic human rights, and it has cost them everything, their lives. They are in prison on long, uncertain prison terms. They are isolated from family, friends, the rest of the world, and the cost for them individually, I think we can hardly imagine.
And what is the signal from the Nobel Committee to the Iranian government?
Well, the signal is listen to your own people. And the signal is sustainable societies have a civil society, have basic democratic rights, and respect individuals' human rights. That is the signal.
Madam Chair, how has the committee reflected on whether or not this prize will affect Narges Mohammadi's security situation?
This is, of course, impossible for us to predict. She is already in prison. She has, over actually 3 decades since she was a student, led a life with a calculated risk. And she has taken the position that she will do what is right at all costs. But if there's any further repercussions against her, the responsibility for that is at the government or other people who carry out these repercussions.
The war in Ukraine still has great impact for people all over the world. Why has this year's Nobel Peace Prize not reflected on that?
Well, we never comment on the prizes that we do not give, as you implicated in your question to have a comment on why we had not looked in a different direction. This year, we have found it paramount to, first of all, honor this very particular movement in Iran. That is a unique situation. Many have described what has happened during the last year as a revolution. Perhaps that remains to be seen. But what we do see is that a revolution carried out by women is a little bit different than other movements. That is significant, but also it is a global problem to honor the half of the population that is women in several countries around the world.
Mieszko Czarnecki, Gazeta.pl from Warsaw. This year, laureate and prize seems to have much more universal context because women's rights are in danger worldwide. Don't you think that it is an address not only to Iranian government but to many other governments worldwide, not only in Iran but in Central or Eastern Europe, in Africa, in Southern America, and so on?
Absolutely. But I will also say, and I would like to add, that I believe all the Nobel Prizes also have a universal impact. We connect it to one person, one movement, one situation, but there is a universal message of what it takes to create peaceful societies.